Welcome back, my friends. I got some spicy stuff for you here today. This DeFi token recently surged over 70% after the DAO voted to flick on a fee switch, allowing voting members of the DAO, token holders of the DAO, and delegators to actually earn fees from the protocol. This is big news, and we'll get right into it here, as well as a price prediction if you stay right to the end based on all this news. So stay right with me, friends. We'll see you in a bit. So Uniswap has been my go-to platform for doing swaps since I started crypto. It's a decentralized exchange, meaning when you go to this exchange, your information is not collected. You're simply just using the protocol, which is all running on code, governed by the DAO, and you don't need to hand over your IDs. Now, what makes this platform interesting is it's run by a DAO, meaning all the changes that are made to the protocol are actually voted on by members who hold the Uni token. The protocol itself over the last few years has actually collected over 3.3 billion in fees that I believe is sitting in the DAO's treasury, so that's pretty cool. And so they recently passed this proposal flicking on a fee switch that will allow the DAO to disperse fees to people who are delegating the Uni token. And the whole reason behind this is to increase participation in the DAO. Recently, many DAO members looked at the governance and noticed that less than 10% of the Uni tokens were actually being used to vote on proposals. This is a big problem in DAOs where apathy does happen, especially if there's no real incentive to get involved. But if you're earning some fees or rewards, it incentivizes you to delegate or give your tokens, pledge your tokens to someone who's actively involved in the DAO. However, we'll get into this in a second. There's definitely some regulatory risks to doing this. Now, how did the proposal actually go? I think this proposal actually failed in an earlier attempt, but this time around passed unanimously with over 55 million Uni supporting the proposal. Now, if I asked you, do you want more money or less money? What are you going to decide? What are you going to choose? You're going to choose more money, right? Everybody's going to choose more money. And so obviously there was unanimous support in passing this proposal. That being said, though, there's a follow-up proposal, which is where it gets a little spicy. The follow-up proposal is suggesting that the change that's being pushed is actually upgradable, which means the DAO could later vote to adjust the fees up or down based on what the protocol needs are. Now, a lot of the proposals and big changes that have come through the Uniswap DAO have actually been immutable proposals, which means once the code is pushed to the protocol, that part of the code cannot be changed or altered in any way. So the DAO, in a sense, has voted to turn on the fees, but whatever fees are actually decided are not going to be changed after the fact. Now, their rationale for this is to minimize the chance of having bugs and errors and exploits potentially happen through upgrading the contract. And there seems to be some serious opposition towards that. In fact, that proposal failed by a decent margin, with the majority actually voting against adjusting any fees after they get implemented. This has kind of caused a bit of a division between the DAO. Even though the DAO has voted for implementing fee rewards, it's going to be interesting to see how they go about navigating this and implementing this. The market has definitely noticed with the token pumping over 70% in the last few weeks. And it may even pump more, but this is definitely looking like, to me, a buy the rumor, sell the news kind of event with maybe a longer than expected timeline for when this is going to actually take place. Now, the outcome of this decision will likely affect the price of the token, either up or down. And we're going to talk about that later in the video, where I actually give you some tangible price predictions, in my opinion, based on some blue-collar analysis. Now, I saw an interesting comment by Dr. Nick on Twitter stating the results of the recent proposal to actually, to keep the fees immutable, and him wondering if this is some sort of voter apathy. I I don't think it is apathy here. Apathy meaning voters just didn't care about voting for this specific proposal. It's actually a problem that we see in other DAOs. That being said, though, there was unanimous participation in actually implementing the fees, and there was enough participation in this vote here to see that there's a clear divide between one group and the other in the DAO. It seems like Uniswap DAO has sort of opened Pandora's box with implementing these fees. It sounds like a great idea, and certainly will cause more engagement in the DAO. We're already seeing more engagement just in these last two proposals here with Uniswap voters. So it'll be really interesting to see how this one pans out. But if Uniswap DAO is able to actually figure out a proper fee structure and get unanimous agreement on it, and in my opinion, make it upgradable to give that DAO a little flexibility, then this could be a crazy success for the token. Tokens in crypto that can actually pay you some sort of a reward based on your involvement using that token to govern and vote is a really good idea, in my opinion. And the fees alone will add some sort of intrinsic value to the token over time. I don't want to say the D word or the S word, but both of these things could be applied to this token potentially and negatively impact the token if the SEC saw it in a bad light. But overall, the market sentiment around the general market is overall bullish right now. So why don't we get right into the price prediction? So based on the Uniswap token actually having a fee structure, I could see us easily breaking all-time highs. The last time Uniswap was peaking out in a bull market, it hit a market cap of $22 billion. Now, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this in the comments, but I believe there's a larger circulating supply of tokens now, which would definitely affect the token price. But if the market sees the value in these fees, it could definitely play into the intrinsic value of the token. Now, if the fee structure does get implemented, I could see this token easily breaking its all-time high of $44. Now, if we head into a raging bull market, I could easily see this token breaking $100 a token. But that being said, the middle of the road approach here and the more conservative estimate, just by looking at the fundamental info here and looking at some technical analysis with Fibonacci lines around the 1.61 level, which historically has shown itself to be a pretty strong reversal, we could see a token price of around $70 a token. It's important to note this is a high-level overview and is of course not to be taken as financial advice. I'm doing some blue-collar technical analysis and just looking at the fundamentals of what's going on in the DAO, which I find really interesting right now. We'll be keeping an eye on this subject, and until next time, friends, we'll see you again. Peace.